Presidents, delegates, representatives from social organizations, and citizens celebrated the inauguration of the UNASUR headquarters next to the Middle of the World Monument outside of Quito. Presidents of the 12 member states toured the unique and avant-garde building and held private meetings. The building is named after the late former president of Argentina, Nestor Kirchner, who was the first Secretary General of the regional body. President Cristina Fernandez presided over the unveiling of her late husband's statue at the entrance of the headquarters, and balloons representing each member state were released.
In
UNASUR, we are 400,400,000 people in 17 million square kilometers. Only by uniting, we could be the fourth largest economy in the world, with 6% of the gross domestic product in the world. A third of the world's fresh water on the planet, and first in food production and hydrocarbon reserves for the next 100 years.
Here at the official inauguration of the UNASUR headquarters, Secretary General Ernesto Samper, Argentine President Cristina Fernandez, and Ecuador's President Rafael Correa spoke of the need for continued cooperation to further regional integration and reach a second Latin American independence. Liz Sherpias, Telesur, Ecuador.
My name is Luke Summers. I'm 33.
The chief of Yemen's National Security Bureau said on Saturday that U.S. journalist Luke Summers and South African teacher Pierre Korki had been killed during a failed rescue attempt by U.S. and Yemeni forces. Toros were reported killed during the operation in Shabwa province in southeast Yemen, while other hostages held by the group had been taken to field hospitals. A video posted by Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula on Wednesday purported to show Summers and threatened to kill him if unspecified demands were not met.
An operation was performed at dawn to free hostages held by Al-Qaeda. The operation by anti-terror forces was able to kill all of Al-Qaeda members and free all the hostages after Al-Qaeda attempted to kill them during the attack. They were taken to field hospitals. One of the victims, hostage Luke Summers, died. He was, in any case, sentenced to death by Al-Qaeda and was to be killed at dawn.
The chief of Mexico City's public security, Rodriguez Almeida, renounced his post, according to a brief announcement made by Mexico City's mayor, Miguel Angel Mancera. Now, according to federal law, the mayor will need to send a proposal by next week to Mexico's President Enrique Peña Nieto to replace Almeida. Now, this news comes amid the growing discontent and calls for the police chief's ouster after accusations that the force has used plainclothes infiltrators in marches to provoke violence and repression. This has occurred at least several times during the most recent mega marches in solidarity with the Ayotzinapa students, in which 20 individuals were arrested and later set free due to the lack of evidence of wrongdoing. Meanwhile, various polls have shown a dramatic drop in popularity of Mexico City's mayor, Mancera, accused by citizens and social groups of being, quote, the repressive mayor. In related news, tomorrow we'll see the next mega march in the Mexican capital for the return alive of those 43 disappeared Ayotzinapa students. The day also marks 100 years when Mexican popular revolutionaries Emiliano Zapata and Pancho Villa took over the capital. This is Clayton Khan reporting for Telesur here in Mexico City.
Throughout the United States, people continue to protest police impunity in the killings of unarmed black people. UN human rights expert Mireille Fanon-Mendez-France stated her concern over a pattern of racial discrimination faced by African Americans and called for laws in the U.S. to be in full compliance with the country's international legal obligations and relevant international standards. The protests follow the latest grand jury ruling not to indict a police officer who choked Eric Garner, despite the coroner ruling the death a homicide. A witness recorded police officer Daniel Pantaleo and other officers forcing Garner to the ground, putting him in a chokehold. Garner could be heard saying repeatedly, "I can't breathe." That grand jury decision came amid ongoing public outrage over a Missouri grand jury's decision not to indict another police officer for fatally shooting Michael Brown earlier this year. Somalia's prime minister was booted out of office on Saturday for the second time in a year, a move that appeared to displease Western donors who are largely responsible for the funding of the government. Prime Minister Abdiweli Sheikh Ahmed had been embroiled in a row over a cabinet reshuffle with President Hassan Sheikh Mohammed. who had overruled his changes. The Prime Minister had been in office for just under a year after his predecessor, who had also argued about the composition of the cabinet. More than 500,000 people in the Philippines are fleeing a powerful typhoon headed towards central provinces, which bore the impact of a super typhoon only 13 months ago. Residents of low-lying villages and landslide-prone areas have fled to schools, civic centers, town halls, gyms, and churches. Typhoon Hagupit is approaching eastern coast today, with its eye 230 kilometers of Borongan in eastern Samar province. The storm is expected to unleash huge destruction, with torrential rain and potentially disastrous storm surges up to 4.5 meters. The storm is expected to hit eastern or northern Samar province early on Sunday.
The Mochacelli School in Buenos Aires is the first and only one of its kind in the world. The school caters especially, but not exclusively, for transvestites and other sexual minorities that face discrimination in mainstream schools.
For me, the Mochacelli School represents a great opportunity, a struggle, and it's also like a home to me. Because for 3 years we had nothing, until now, a moment we have been waiting for.
Education and knowledge to me is the strongest tool that we can all have.
This Friday, the first graduation of students of Mochacelis was celebrated at Argentina's Ministry of Education.
I said, you are the first graduates to leave a mark for everyone else that will join us, demonstrating that it can be done, because I believe that is the message. For years, many people have been told it's not possible, or we would say that to ourselves, and this demonstrates the opposite.
The marginalisation they suffer when they attempt to gain access to education, health and housing often sees transvestites and other sexual minorities going on to earn a living through prostitution.
Attending Mochacelis means to stop being on the streets. One day Mochacelis to me is a day less on a street corner, for example.
The intolerance, humiliation, marginalisation and attacks suffered by transvestites for years is gradually fading in Argentina. The Mochacelli School, a role model for the entire world. From Buenos Aires, Leonel Paulete Goduti, Telesur.
Facts that have marked the course of history. Productions designed in the English language and made for the English-speaking world. This is Documentary. Watch it on telesur.net/English. Telesur, wherever the news, you'll be there.